Hey family, it's Dr. Marissa Johnson and Happy Wine Therapy Wednesday. This episode is titled, Who Am I? Who Am I ties in with identity crisis, which was developed by psychologist Erik Erikson. Identity crisis is something that we develop when we tend to question ourselves and where we belong. What are our values? So today I have a special guest with me, and we're going to talk about who she is and her challenges as she grew up with identity crisis. Now, before we get started, we want to thank our sponsor of the day, Nice Winery, here in Houston, Texas. Thank you for our Malbec Rosé wine that we will enjoy during the show. So everybody, get your wine glasses and let's talk about it. So Marissa Trail, who are you today?
Today, I am a healing, whole woman. Wife, mother, businesswoman, professional. A black woman.
A black woman. I like that. I like that. So, I know we talked previously about you having identity crisis at a younger age when things were going on in family. So, when did you realize that you had an identity crisis?
Oh, the first time.
Oh, so it's been more than one time?
Yes.
Okay.
It's like it goes in stages, I guess.
Well, yeah, research does say that identity crisis can happen over time with different things like moving or getting married, divorce, kids. It's different stages or different times when you can have that. So explain a few of yours, like what happened when you first realized that.
First, I was somewhere between age 5 and 7. I grew up with my first cousin. We were raised as brother and sister. That's how we grew up together. And one day we were arguing about something. I don't remember what it was. Playing around, and he just got angry and said to me, "That's why Granny and Papa are not even your Granny and Papa." And all the games stopped.
Yeah.
It became a very serious moment. Why would you say that? Because they not.
The fact that you found out like that, though, instead of it being a family sit down and let's have a conversation and tell Marissa that she's not, really our granddaughter. So how did it make you feel at that moment when you found, like, what was your feelings, if you can remember?
I remember not going to my grandparents. I thought he was joking. I thought he was joking. And so he is my first cousin biologically. We were raised as brother and sister by his paternal grandparents. Okay. So I didn't even want to ask them. I just internalized it. And he said, if you don't believe me, ask our aunt. We would go to her house a few times a week. So not the next time I went to her house, I don't know what the distance was between, like, how long until I asked her. But eventually I worked up the courage to ask her. And she told me. She was like, yeah, he not lying.
Oh, wow.
But that's it.
Nothing else. No other explanation. Yep, it's true. And we just going to keep moving on and sweep it on the rug like nothing happened.
I don't know if they thought I was too young to process it, which I think I was.
How old were you?
Somewhere between 5 and 7.
Okay.
I was too young to understand the depths of even trying to explain it to you. You'd have to take it in. Like, wait a minute, go back in? Now how? It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But it didn't change anything in my household.
So your household was the same. Everything was the same, but nobody had that conversation to you that went into depth about what happened.
Nope. So after my aunt confirmed it, I asked my grandmother. I said, "Granny, you my real granny?" And she looked at me. "Why you ask me that?" She was hurt.
Yeah.
That I even asked her. Because she never looked at it as a blood relation. Ever. Yeah. And neither did I. Until somebody put it on my radar. And then you want to belong. Everybody has a sense of belongingness.
Yes.
And that took away my belongingness. Yeah. So that was my first identity crisis. She told me then, she was like, "I'm not your blood grandmother, but I am your granny." Oh. And that was enough for me.
Yeah. You just because it gave you a belonging. Like I belong here, whether you're my granny or not. I still feel like I belong. You give me that sense of belonging.
Yes.
I love that about granny. Grannies are so sweet, y'all. Granny. Grannies are the sweetest people. Like they got so much love in them. So I love the fact that she did not shun you away or say no, you're not, or let's like kind of make you feel worse than what you did already when it came to your cousin, or the way you found out. So after that moment, so in the household it never changed, but what about the external school work, everything that's coming up?
Outside of that, life just continued. Then I started school, and I grew up in a black household. Yeah. I grew up in a black neighborhood. I didn't see a lot of white people around me. I was typically the only white-skinned person. Mm-hmm. White-skinned.
White skin. So
white skin.
But you didn't go by white or like race, mixed, biracial.
I didn't go by white or black or biracial. I was just Rissa. Mm-hmm. Nope. I was just Jeremy's sister. Yeah. Like, that's how people identified me. We always went to the same schools. Mm-hmm. He was my protector. My brother's name Jeremy. Yeah. That's who I was. My identity was rooted in my household.
Gotcha.
In my safety net. Mm-hmm. So wherever I went, I was a product of my household. Yeah. And then I started to grow up, and I didn't, like, white people at school kind of looked at me funny. Black people at school kind of looked at me funny. But again, I grew up in a black household. Yes. So naturally, I gravitate to what I know. Right. To the culture that I most identify with. There became another time of having an identity crisis. I never forget it. I was in the 4th grade. It was my first time taking standardized tests, and just being nervous about taking the test in general. Mm-hmm. The whole class couldn't even start on the test until I checked a box.
What box was that?
Black or white. So they, standardized testing, they have demographics. Mm-hmm. That's the whole purpose of it. Do I understand that at 9 years old? No. Mm-hmm. Now you're asking me to choose who I am.
Yeah, that's deep. Who am I?
Who am I?
Mm-hmm. That's deep.
Marissa, are you black? Marissa, are you white? I asked my teacher if I could check both. No, you can only check one. They had to go get the principal to advise me on which box to check.
Well, that's deep. That's a
the
lot.
Whole classroom. There's 30 kids in this class.
And everybody has to wait on you to make a decision of whether I want to be black, if I want to be white, or who am I, what race am I? Like, that's big.
It was, so when I'm embarrassed, I turn red.
Yeah.
I was red in the face. And then it was just even more embarrassing of why don't I know innately which box to check. Mm-hmm.
But because it was never a conversation. It was never a conversation at all. So
then I had to go home that night, and my granny got mad that I didn't know which box to check. She told me, you ain't never been white.
Grannies.
And I'm like, well, last I looked. Yeah. I hear what you're saying, Granny. Mm-hmm. But I know what my skin looked like too, so. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry?
Yeah. So after that incident, that was pretty big. And identity crisis, depending on what the situation is, it can traumatize you, because now it's like, what are my values now? Do I have values of a white person? I have values of a black person? Or what are my cultural norms now? Do I change? Like, do I stay within my household? Because now this has pretty much given me a different look at myself. Mm-hmm. Because all you've known is Rissa, the house. They already gave you identity of who you are, Rissa in the house, right? No color. Mm-hmm. But now the school has opened your mind up to, okay, what race am I? Mm-hmm. That's a whole nother ball game. So after that, what were some other issues that you faced?
That was kind of ongoing throughout my childhood. I stayed in the same school system from that moment until I graduated. So I had the same group of friends my whole life, which made it easier because I'd made my group of friends. So I went to a smaller school. It was more minority students, so that kind of made it a little bit easier, but I stuck to what I know.
Exactly.
And I still have those friendships today, most of them. Yeah. Then comes college. Then you gotta do it all over again on a much larger scale of who are you? What is she? And then further beyond that, going into the workplace.
Yeah.
Are you Cuban? Are you white? Are you Creole? None of that was on my job application.
None of that. But the question is, did you ever experience any kind of discrimination? Like, I want to know, did you go through any of that? You know how it is in a workplace, whether you have discrimination or not, and with different race and everything. Did you have to deal with any of that?
Girl. So, my cousin worked at the company that I work for, that I still work for. And she's black. And she told me, she prepped me for the environment I was going into. So I already knew that I had to go in code switching.
Code switching. Give us the tea on that. What's code switching?
Where I'm not allowed to be my full self out of fear of retaliation, out of fear of racism, of how I will be received in a predominantly white workplace. I work in oil and gas. If you don't know what it's like in oil and gas.
Yeah.
It's a lot of non-color, not like people of color are. You just don't see us walking around as much as you see white people. So I already knew that was a thing. Well, when I got hired, so much so that I just told you my cousin worked there, we didn't disclose that we were family. We worked in the same building, different departments. We intentionally did not say that we were related. She told me not to tell him because she didn't want me to be treated differently. And I have always struggled with those things because being biracial, and even right now today in my life, identifying as biracial, identifying as black. So in the introduction, I said I'm a black woman. I most closely identify as a black woman. I have struggled, and even in recent years, with not excluding the white part of me because I don't want to offend my black family. It's like this whole internal battle, and both sides have an opinion, and you're just constantly stuck in the middle of who am I? You would think that you get a hold on it, you get a grasp on it, and every time I think I do, something else happens.
Something else comes up.
Something else comes up. But in my workplace, I remember my supervisor saying, when I told her that my cousin worked there, and they realized I was black, I knew. You know what? I knew you're black. How? And what I've learned, so I'm country. I grew up in Dallas. My family grew up in Dallas. I spent almost every weekend until high school in Louisiana. So just country. Dallas people country anyway. I thought that's what she was picking up on. But no, most people tell me, or used to, I've worked on my words and how that I talk black.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And I used to wonder, like, what does that even mean? She said in my interview, I said ask instead of ask.
Girl, and that's how they pretty much found out what race you were.
That's what she told me.
Oh, okay.
That was her first indication.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, really? And then in my mind, I'm like, am I really out here saying X?
Right. You keep thinking like, am I saying that wrong? Am I saying
Surely
that?
Not. Like, I really
you question yourself
watch
then, like, I talk for real. This is what I'm saying.
Wait a minute. I said that. Anyways, so she said that was one way that she knew, and I was like, and that made me feel a way. So one of the biggest things in being biracial, in my own experience, is black people, my friends, my family, like, that are not white skinned, have this, you can be white passing if you choose. I can be white passing if I choose. That the experiences of being black in America are not the same for you as they are for me. Because I sometimes I do, I'm received differently because people don't know. And what I get so frustrated with is that what people don't take into account is that once you're black, Once people realize you're black, you're instantly treated differently. So it's not that, no, I don't resonate with being black in America in a way that you would.
Yeah.
But I do still have my own struggles as a black woman. So being at work, I haven't received many things, but there have been. I remember walking down the hall one day and 2 women walking behind me making comments about my shape because my hips.
Yeah.
And that's something I've never really had a problem with.
Right.
Girl, don't be mad because you don't have my hips.
don't be mad now.
Because you feel like a pencil. Don't be mad at that. So that kind of thing. And I remember very specifically, what I do, I pay the bills. And I had a vendor so upset. I mean, that phone call was horrible. And I went into my supervisor at the time. I went into their office, and I guess it was just my body language. I was mad. And I needed a safe place to vent that call out. And that person said to me, "Are you about to go black girl on me?"
No, they didn't. No, we not. No, they didn't say that. No, they really said that.
I said, "Excuse me? I am going to HR. That's where I'm about to go." Because what?
I can't believe they said that.
Like, what makes you think that's okay?
It's crazy that we're talking about this, because I wanted to know, like, because white people, they're more privileged than us, than black, and you had those struggles. Did you ever think about, because you know, dealing with the identity crisis of who am I, do you ever think about, because you can choose who you want to be, like you can choose that with accepting how you feel, and you know, kind of thinking about your cultural values, your values, what do you value? Did you ever think about being white? Was that a thought because of the easy, I call it the easy road, the easy road out?
No, because I never knew. I grew up black. When people saw me, they saw me with my family. So they black, she black. She got to be something black to be with them. It was never a thing. I didn't have any relationship with the white side of my family until college. I didn't reach out and start having a relationship. I met my dad in 1998. Met him. Didn't really have a relationship. We didn't start to build a relationship until my adult years. So I didn't have any sense of identity in my white side until an adult. So
what made you reach out?
She won't admit it, but my mama did it.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't curious about it.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
I think you were just really content. I'm black. Like, I'm good with my family. Like, you know, I understand I've been through these like little stumbles of identity crisis, but I feel like I'm more comfortable and I'm good with what I know. Like, I identify as black.
Yep. I was fine.
Yeah.
I was perfectly fine. My senior year in high school, I got an email to my email address from a people search. Searching my oldest brother. I looked this man up. That was not me. The only person walking this earth that could have looked it up. So she didn't look up his given name. She looked up his nickname that our dad calls him. So I started putting the pieces together. And I called my mom and asked her if she had done it. And she told me no. And that made me so mad. Like, why are you not being honest about this? Because you just opened up a whole can of worms that I can't deal with right now.
Yeah,
I don't even want
to.
Now I have all of these questions because my dad had told me about them, that my dad and my brothers were estranged. More layers. So I know that it wasn't my dad. I know it had my mom's name all over it. She told me no, but now I'm curious. So put that to rest for a few months. I moved out and went to college. My freshman year in college, I wrote a letter to the address that was in that email. Saying who I am. I put one of my graduation pictures in there. I had no expectations. None.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to hear back from them. I just put it out there to give myself peace.
What piece were you looking for? What is this piece about?
That there is another part of me in the world somewhere, and all my life having this identity crisis of not knowing who I am. And not doing anything about that because there was nothing I could do.
Yeah.
There was nothing. My biological grandmother passed when my mom was very young. She was not even 2 years old yet, or she may have been right around 2. So she grew up without her mother. I was raised by my grandparents that I acknowledge as my grandparents.
Yeah.
They took my mom in due to some trauma that they had losing their daughter. So by the time I came along, it was a blessing to them that they got to start over, raising another daughter. And it was a blessing to my mom for the place she was in her life. And it's been the ultimate blessing to me for everything that my grandparents sacrificed to raise me, to instill good values in me. I am the woman I am today because of their love. And to know that they could be so selfless to give so much to somebody that's not their blood relation.
It's not theirs.
I felt like it would be disrespectful for me to go digging into who I am as if they were not enough.
That's how you felt.
That's how I felt.
Yeah.
They haven't said that to me, but that's how I felt. So in college, I have family out there. I want my family to know that I exist. And if you care, if you don't care, it is what it is. So they ended up reaching out to me, and we have a relationship, and it's been really nice, really, really nice. My oldest brother, him and his wife are just the sweetest people you'll ever meet in your whole life. I have nieces, nephews, and I have nieces and nephews with my other brothers also. It's a sense of belongingness. Yeah. Even though we don't talk every day, we don't miss a birthday, we don't miss a holiday. And that's enough for me.
That's enough for you. As long as it's enough for you. That's it. As long as it's enough for you. So you have a baby.
Yes.
Miss Ava. And how do you show her the importance of identity? Knowing what you went through, like what are some things that you're doing with her that's different than how you were raised as far as identity? So
she's 3. So there's I don't feel like we've gotten to any of the heavier things. Like I didn't grow up learning about my history. I didn't grow up learning about the struggles of society. Beyond what my grandparents experienced themselves. So for my daughter, I work really hard now in her being comfortable in her skin and taking care of herself and not giving her a complex about herself. The school she goes to, there are not a lot of black kids at her school. And that was one of the things when we chose to put her in that preschool. I said, man, it's not a lot of kids that look like her. I told my husband, it's not a lot of kids. And he said, it's okay, because she has us. And we do. So specifically what we do, I do affirmations with my daughter. I live in the mirror most of the time. And she lives in the mirror with me. And just positive self-talk. The way I carry myself, the way that I love her, the way she sees me love her dad, and how I take care of myself. I'm trying to instill values in her that she's enough. Just how she is. And also, don't let nobody talk to you any kind of way.
Babe, Marissa gonna let you know. You wanna know? Don't let them talk to you any kind of way, no ma'am.
But then she don't let me talk to her any kind of way.
She don't. Like, she will not. She will. She will not. No.
You acting like your mama. But I like it.
Right. So for someone who may be dealing with identity crisis right now, and you going through this, especially as how you went through it, the race and everything like that, the cultural background, what advice would you give a person they may be going through the same thing that you went through?
Get comfortable with yourself, with who you are. Strip down from society's expectations, from your family's expectations, and get in touch with yourself. For me, journaling helped. I started to follow different ministers, different influencers that shared the same values as me. Regardless of what anybody else thinks I should be or how I should identify. Doing what feels the most right for me right now. And give yourself grace that it's okay to change.
Yes, it is.
Because you grow and you learn more and you realize, okay, you know what? I felt like that when I was this age. But now I've lived a little more. My grandma used to always tell me, just keep on living.
Keep on living.
Keep on living and life will show you. Give yourself grace.
Yes.
It's okay to not know. It's okay to be unsure. It's normal. Nobody can tell you who you are.
That's true. Nobody can.
Nope. As long as I'm good with me,
that's it.
You gotta accept it.
That's it.
And if you don't like that,
bye. The fact that we said that. All right, family. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I did. I want to thank you, Miss Marissa Trail, for being here and being my special guest today. It has been a joy talking to you, and I hope that y'all got something out of it. So if you're dealing with identity crisis, be sure to take heed of what her encouraging words were at the end, how to get past it, things that you could possibly do, and be sure to tune in to Wine Therapy on the next episode.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome. If you or anyone you know is dealing with an identity crisis at this time, here are a few steps that you can take to help you deal with your identity crisis. Number 1, acknowledge and accept the feelings that you have. Number 2, explore your belief and interest. Number 3, consider your goals. And number 4, get support. Next time on Wine Therapy.
And so I've written letters